I love acting. That should not come as a surprise to anyone watching this. This channel has primarily been a voice acting channel, and also a channel that showcased my theater escapades when I was in high school. There's not a lot of like video. I do a lot of shorts, so all my video content is very sparse. You can find all of the stuff I'm talking about if you just go to the videos tab. And it's also my career. I am part of the union. I am a SAG member, and I get paid professionally to do this craft, to take part in this art, and it's a whole lot of fun. And I'm very blessed to be able to pursue this career. Now you might be asking yourself, Capono, so what? Are you just here to brag? Is there a point to this video you're making? Why is it so long? And to that I say, yeah, I do. I'm not here to brag, but I'm here to talk about sort of my experience in the field of acting, talk about my journey, how I started and how I got here, and also maybe some of my advice for those starting and those people that want to become an actor, because I know I was someone that didn't exactly know what to do after I left high school. I sort of just threw caution to the wind and dove in with no real plan. I sort of just went, and it kind of worked out. It took some time for it to work out. I think I'm about 4 years off of graduating high school, and I joined the union a month and a half ago. So if the final goalpost of becoming truly an actor is joining the union, then that would be it. If the marker is getting paid for acting, then it happened a lot sooner, which it was lucky for me. But now I'm a union actor, which is different. And I am proud to be a union actor. But that's besides the point. So I'm just here to, talk about the journey and things that you might want to do if you would like to take part in this beautiful craft that is acting and do it professionally. So I guess let's just start from the beginning, right? Should we? If this was 2012, I'd make it a draw my life, but it is not 2012, and I am lazy, so we're not gonna do that. Maybe there'll be some PNG and JPEG art that'll accompany the some stuff that I find, but we'll see if I have the mental capacity to do that. The reason why I like doing these videos is because I have hyperfixation, ADHD stuff, and this is easier to do and I can do quicker than like making shorts content and stuff like that. So from the top, I guess we'll start with how I got into it. My parents were the type of people to sort of just throw me into a bunch of different activities and see what stuck. I started as a kid by doing sports, a lot of sports. I was in basketball as like a toddler, and soccer as a little bit older than that, like maybe 4 or 5 years old. And then I started doing baseball in elementary school, which I sucked at. I was bad at baseball because I was afraid of getting hit by the ball. And the reason I was afraid is because it happened a lot. I have a specific memory of being hit by the old pitching machine. I'll see if I can find a picture of it and stick it up here. If I can't, then you won't see it, but I'm sure I'll be able to find one. But this old pitching machine, and they would pull a lever and it would shoot a ball out at you, and it shot out at me and it hit me a lot. I remember one instance where it hit me right in the wrist, and I was out of practice for the rest of the day because my wrist hurt so much. I think I didn't sprain it, but man, did it suck. And I didn't like baseball. And then my parents put me in judo, and I did judo for a while. One of the biggest judo clubs in the country is near a city away from me, so they put me in that, and I didn't like judo. I would literally cry before going to these practices. I would do a couple laps around the house and say, see, I worked out, I exercised, you don't have to take me to judo. And I would fall to the floor sobbing because I had to do judo. I did not like it. And then one summer, my parents put me in a theater camp. Now, because of my experience with them putting me in a bunch of other stuff, I was apprehensive and I was afraid and I was very timid and nervous about the whole thing. I didn't really open up on the first day, but it was only for a week, and the week went on, and by the end of it, I was in love with it all. I loved getting on stage and singing and dancing and acting and hanging out with a bunch of cool people, making new friends. It was awesome. And it was at that point that my parents were like, okay, this is something. The camp was a little expensive, though, so I only was able to go for, I think, 2 weeks that summer. And then I basically forgot about it. That was when I was like 8 years old. And then fast forward 2 years, it's the summer after 5th grade. I'm about to join middle school. And I say to my parents, hey, that theater camp that I did a couple years ago, I really want to do that again. It was a lot of fun. And so my parents said, okay, we'll put you in. It seems like I can tell that you enjoyed it. So I went and I did it for a week, 2 weeks, and then I think I did it for 3 weeks that summer. It was awesome. I had a bunch of fun, and I met a couple of cool people. The counselors, they saw me, and I was one of the only boys there. It was mostly girls in this camp, and I was one of maybe 5 to 8 boys in a camp that was about probably 40 to 60 strong. Yeah, I think that was the case. Let me try to remember. Yeah, if there was, I think it was, 40, between 40 and 60 kids, there were only 5 to 8 boys. I was one of the only ones. I was on the older-ish side because I think it only goes up to 12 or 13 years old. So I was one of the older boys, and I was one of the only boys that could sing. I had a decent voice for a 10-year-old, and they liked that. The counselors liked that, and they gave me a bunch of fun, like, leading parts in these showcases that we did every week, and it was a lot of fun. And then after those 3 weeks were up, I stopped coming to the classes because it was just, once again, these classes were expensive. These week-long camps were pricey, and so I stopped coming. But then one day, I was with my mom, and we were dropping off my brother at swimming lessons, which were across the street from the studio that was across the street from where the camp was taking place. And this was in the morning, and I was sitting in the car. I was watching Aladdin, and my brother was getting ready to go to his swimming practice. My mom was, handing him a towel. We were all sitting in the car, and then one of the head counselors walks by my car, looks in, recognizes my mom, and then sees me, and he says, "Oh, Capono, hey, how's it going, man? Are you coming to camp today?" And I said, "Oh, no, I can't. I didn't sign up for this week." And he said, "Oh, that's a bummer." And then we had some small talk about Aladdin. That was his favorite movie of all time. He loves Aladdin. He wanted to be Aladdin at Disneyland, but he was, I think he was like an inch too short to be Aladdin, which was very funny. But besides the point, he said, "Hey, after the swimming lesson, do you want to come over to camp to watch a little performance? We really like having you. I think you're a really good performer, and I want to show you something." So I said, "Yeah, sure." So we went to this swimming practice, and then after, we headed across the street to go to the studio. And as I walked in, he was like, "Hi, Capono. Everyone say hi, Capono." All the campers said, "Hey, what's up?" I walked in, sat down, and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna do this performance. Just watch and see. Tell me what you think about it." And then he does this whole dance number with one of my camp mates. They do this whole like really fun Broadway style partner dance. It was really fun, really cool, and it was a fun dance, and I enjoyed it. And I was like, "Yeah, that was awesome. That was really cool. Thanks for showing me that." And after he showed me, he said, "Yeah, this is a number that we're learning for our performance troupe that we have. Do you want to join?" And I said, yeah, that sounds sick. And he talked with my mom and said, hey, it's only twice a week. It's in the evenings. It's after school. He is a great salesman. And he said, yeah, it's only 2 times a week. It's only for a couple hours. Really simple stuff. It'll keep him active. And then we perform once a month. It'll be really fun and a great opportunity for him to like meet new people and stuff. And my mom was convinced. And so I think 2 days later, I was in their studio performing, or sorry, practicing for this performance troupe. And it's where I met one of my best friends to this day. He's been one of my closest friends for a decade almost. And also other people that I've met in there I'm still close with to this day. But that's where I started really performing. This performance troupe was a huge part of my life. I performed at like Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, City Walk, and Universal Studios, and a bunch of local fairs and stuff around the area. It was a lot of fun. It was an absolute blast. Was I very good? No, but we were kids. I was, I did it throughout middle school. My last year was when I was in 8th grade, and then I stopped as I got into high school. But it was an amazing time, and it was the thing that my parents realized that I loved doing. I truly loved doing. They took me out of baseball. They took me out of judo, had me stop doing all that. And I then became a performer. That's when it really started. It was thanks to the camp, yes. But I really think the performance troupe was the thing that made me realize I loved performing. Truly loved performing. Because the camp there was a big social aspect. It was only a week long. It wasn't, the showcase at the end of the week wasn't super serious. It was just a cute thing that we did. But the performance troupe was the thing that made me realize I loved the practicing, the community you formed with your other performers, the being on stage and showcasing what you've done and what you've learned. And it was awesome. Fast forward to my 8th grade year. This is my last year of being in this performance troupe. I started school, and my friend, the one that my closest, the guy that I'm still close with to this day, he gives me a call. He calls me. He's in high school at this point. He's a junior in high school, I think. He's like, hey, Capono, we are doing a production of Les Mis at my school, his high school, my future high school. And he says, we need more guys. Do you want to come audition right now? And I had just walked in the door, just gotten home. And I looked at my dad, who drove me, because I'm in 8th grade, right? I'm in 8th grade. I can't drive. And I look at him and he says, do you want to go? And I say, hell yeah, I want to go. Hell yeah, I want to go. So I get in the car, I drive to the audition, I perform Love is an Open Door to the theater teacher that's there, and I land a role, small role in the ensemble because I'm not part of the school. I'm in 8th grade, but it was awesome. But it was awesome. If it wasn't for my friend, I would not have gotten in good, air quote, with the theater teacher there from a very early age. I was in 8th grade doing a high school production. And from then, it was sort of sealed how my high school was going to be. Freshmen normally don't have room in their schedule to do any sort of like art or extracurricular because they need to take like health and their other like geography or something. But so I decided I'm going to take health online. I'm going to take health online so that I have a spot open when the school starts so that I can actually take theater. So I took theater and I took dance that year. And then that story repeated itself all 4 years of high school. I was president of the improv club at one point. I was the president of the advanced theater class at some point, I think. Maybe. I'm not super certain. I honestly have forgotten at this point. But I did take a leadership position in the class. And my whole 4 years was taken over by performing arts. I was part of the dance program, which was amazing. We put on 2 big shows every year, and then the theater program had a variety of shows, 1 big musical, a spring and fall play, 1 acts that happened throughout the year, and it was awesome. And it really solidified once again for me that this was something that I wanted to do. But then obviously, senior year rolls around and you have to get ready to leave high school. You have to get ready for what comes next. And the most obvious answer is college, right? We got to go to college. You got to do your essays. You got to take your SATs, whatever, go to college, get a degree. And that was the original plan that my parents wanted for me. But I don't know. I didn't want it for myself. So I did apply for colleges. I applied for a bunch of theater programs everywhere. I've applied for Santa Barbara, Fullerton, UCLA, USC, a bunch of different places. And I got rejected from all of them. Every single one I got rejected from. And I think it's because I didn't really put a lot of effort into my essays and into my applications themselves. So when I told my dad, like, hey, I just got rejected from everything, he looked at me and he said, yeah, honestly, I think that's a good thing. I don't want to pay $50,000 for you to go to a school just to make connections when you can instead make those same connections by going out there and actually doing the thing. And he said to me, you were getting ready to become an actor ever since you started high school. You made sure to have room in your schedule for theater. You always wanted to be an actor. So why should you go to school for it when it would be much better for you to go out there and actually learn from the people who are in the industry and make the connections that will actually get you somewhere in this industry? And I looked at him and said, yeah, you're right. So what did I do? I took the summer off, enjoyed my freedom of not having a job, my freedom of being out of school and not having to be worrying about summer homework or anything like that. I took that time just to be free for a little bit. And then I went on the search. I looked for classes. I decided what I wanted to do, and I spent a lot of time brainstorming on what to do next. Where should I go next? And I ended up landing on a specific class on Elizabeth Mesnick Acting Studio in Hollywood, right down the street from Universal Studios. I found this class, and it was a class that taught specifically the Meisner technique of acting, and it was a 2-year program which culminated in a showcase in front of industry people, agents, managers, casting directors, the whole nine. And this was probably the toughest 2 years of my acting life, because before I went through it very off of instinct, you know what I mean? What I learned in being a performer was how to have stage presence, how to memorize choreography quickly. What I learned in theater was not exactly acting technique. It was how to memorize a script fast, because it's part of your doing this show is your final. It was making sure that I had my assignment ready for the next it wasn't how to act. It was how to sound convincing, basically, I guess. Because there's not enough time to teach you a whole technique of acting, how to believe what you're saying, how to really do for real when you're on stage, you know what I mean? The things that I learned in high school was not technique. It was just sort of me acting on instinct, and how I would perceive acting these characters was like. And it wasn't bad. It was all right. I look back and I'm not upset at my performance. I believe myself enough to have my belief be suspended to watch the show, which is good, especially for a high schooler, at least when I'm, watching myself. But I didn't have a good foundation of technique, so I wanted to take something else. So I decided to take this Meisner program. The first year is about tearing down your walls. It was fully about tearing down your defense mechanisms that you have for the outside world, and breaking them down so that you can actually react for real to the things that are being said to you. Because In real life, we brush things off all the time. Someone says something weird to you, you brush it off so you can continue about your day. Because if every insult someone threw at me caused me to get upset and have a full like emotional breakdown, like a scene would have me have, then I would never get through the day. And you would never get through the day. So you create defense mechanisms where you can either deal with it later or shove it down so you never have to deal with it at all. And this class, the whole first academic year was about taking these walls that you had and breaking them down bit by bit for the work, for the scene. They were like, leave yourself at the door and come ready to work. Leave the outside. And it was tough and it sucked. It was rigorous, but it made me ready to do the next year's work, which was all the fun, quote, character stuff, where we got to add impediments, like working through pain, working through difficulty of speech, working through different sort of character traits that aren't you, working as maybe someone who is a drug addict, someone who is a murderer, getting to work through those things for real in the scene, so that you actually feel like you are reacting realistically as this person with this, quote, impediment. And that was a lot of fun, but also very difficult. And I could go on about this technique for hours, but I don't want to get trapped in the cycle of talking about Meisner, because it's a very in-depth technique that would take a while to fully like explain. If you want a video on that, leave a comment. But besides the point, all of this is to say, at the end of this 2-year rigorous program, they had us produce a industry night. They had us be the ones reaching out and calling to get people in seats. They had us be the ones to plan the whole thing. And it was also hard work, and it sucked. I had to make a bunch of phone calls to people that would want to see our show. And most people didn't pick up. Some people like answered and then hung up on me midway through my spiel. I think I only got to speak to like 3 or 4 people, and I don't know how many actually ended up showing up, which was a bummer. But the industry night did happen, and through that reaching out and all that work that we did as a class, I ended up contacting a management company that was looking for someone of my type. I ended up signing with them. And I'm still with that manager to this day. I've been with her for about 2 years now. And it's been a glorious, glorious ride. Another one of my classmates also signed under her, which is pretty awesome. And then through her, I met my current agent. And my other agent, my commercial and my theatrical agent, both of which I have not yet gotten work through my theatrical agent yet, because I signed with him fairly recently, maybe a couple months ago. And then my commercial agent, I've signed a lot of work with, and is the reason why I now have my SAG card. So through this studio program, I found my representation and really got my career going. And that brings us to today, where I am part of the union. I'm still taking auditions. I'm booking work. And I have now quit my day job to fully pursue acting. I am using all the free time and the money that I'm getting from my commercials to take classes in acting, and really work out the acting muscles, because acting, I think, is a muscle. It's something that you have to work out. And it has been a while since I have worked out that muscle, because I started booking work and needed to work my day job. But since I've booked enough work to get enough money to not have to worry about having a day job, I am now filling that time with going back to the acting gym. Which brings us, I guess, to the section that you guys clicked on this video for, the advice section. How do you become an actor? How do you do it? Everyone's journey is different. I happen to find a studio program that had a showcase that met with agents, but I didn't meet my agent through that showcase. I met it through the outreach I did for it. And it was, I was lucky. I was what they were looking for. Not every agency will be the one that you're looking for, because I remember reaching out to people, and some people got back to me and said, hey, we're not looking for anyone new right now. Other people said, hey, you're interesting, but you're not. I only represent SAG actors. So reach back out to me once you've joined the union and stuff like that, which I don't need to now because I now have all my representation sort of sorted out. But you never know. I was lucky, and your journey might be different. But there are things that you can do to start. Because the thing about this industry, and every industry, to be honest, is the power of connections. You need to know people to get anywhere. And that is hard, especially if you're starting from zero, which I did. I'm not someone that has a grandfather or uncle that works as a studio head for like Warner Brothers or Marvel. I don't have any of those connections. I had to build everything I have now from the ground up. So how do you do that? First, I would say just start by doing stuff. First see if this is something that you really want to do. I would start by making stuff. Do stuff like I like you see here. I have a bunch of voice acting work up. And this is not stuff I've been paid to do. This is stuff that I do for fun. I do this dubbing stuff as practice. It's just stuff that I find joy and fun in doing. It's something that I like to do. And so I think you should start by trying to do that yourself. Make a short film. If you have a phone, you can film something. You can film stuff with a phone. Make skits, write scripts and shoot them by yourself or with other people. If you can find other people, make a small film crew and do stuff, do it. Because those are the people that will be with you for your entire career. And that's just to start, in terms of connections. That's you're finding people who have similar interests to you, and you guys can accelerate with each other, and that is a good thing. Like the friend that I talked about that I've known for a decade, he just got out of film school, and he now wants to work to get money to do classes, to do acting classes. And like I, having been in a bunch of classes, taken studio classes, and always looking out for more, have resources for him. So through me, he can, find these different places and these different things to help him get a jump start on his career. So that is an example of just the people you have around you that might be interested in the same things. Next is one of the big things is there are things called casting websites that you can, right now, if you have a headshot or whatever, you can submit yourself right now to projects that are being put up on these websites. So there's 3 big ones, which is Actors Access, Casting Networks, and Casting Frontier. Those are the 3 big ones that everyone in the industry uses. I get all my commercial stuff from Casting Networks, and all of my theatrical stuff from Actors Access. And Casting Frontier is sort of, I think it's like a legacy website, but it's still sort of used every now and then. But these websites, you need to have them. Minimum an Actors Access and a Casting Networks and a Casting Frontier. Minimum those 3. There's a bunch of other ones that come out and never really find traction. But those 3 are the big ones. So find those, make an account, because you can make a free one, and then just explore these websites. Actors Access right now kind of sucks. It is full of vertical short films, which aren't the best quality because it's all, it's vertical and stuff. But some of them do pay good money, especially if you're non-union or if you're SAG eligible or FICOR. If you're any of those things, vertical short films can pay the bills and also get you to meet people that are also sort of in a similar boat as you. I have friends who are on the crew side of these short films, of these vertical shorts. And through these, they get a lot of work. They work with a lot of the same people, and they work a lot. I think right now, one of my friends is probably working on a vertical short somewhere in Los Angeles. They make a lot of money. But there are also, in Actors Access, there are short films happening from indie producers. There are senior theses, thesis films for colleges happening. You'll see a lot of AFI, American Film Institute stuff. You'll find a lot of college thesis short films. Those are also good because those people, the ones that are coming out of the schools, are going to be the next like big people in the industry. The people coming out of all these colleges that do film stuff are going to be the people that you want to have your connections with. So these websites, yes, you need to have them because if you do become a professional, a lot of your work is going to come from these like sites. So starting one right now is good, but also it gives you an opportunity to meet more people and make those connections. Because I got an audition, was it last year? I think it was, I think it might have been like 1.5 years ago, close to 2 years. I got an audition from there for an independent feature film. I booked it, and we finished filming. They're still editing it and stuff because it is an indie. I filmed it with these guys, and I really liked them. I really liked the director. I really liked the whole crew. I liked all the people that I worked on that film with. And through those connections, I worked on a short film recently for the director's girlfriend. I made these connections and am now getting to work on passion projects with these people, which means I'm now going to be in their mind when they make stuff because I think they enjoyed working with me. They invited me back, which is, I think, a good thing. But it is something. It's a connection I made through one of these websites. So I think that is a big thing. Now, the thing about these websites is that you need material to put up, like headshots and reels. Now, headshots are easy enough to come by. You can use stuff. Don't use like Instagram photos or filtered photos. Find a neutral background and take a photo of yourself for both comedic and dramatic, if you can. One where you're smiling and one where you're smoldering, basically. And that can be your first headshots if you're looking for something cheap. There are a lot of good headshot photographers in Los Angeles, if that's where you are, and I'm sure you can find other good ones in other places. I have the ones that I go to. I'll leave those in the link in the description if you would like. But headshots are important because they are the first impression that casting has of you. So get headshots, even if it is just your face on a neutral background. Having what you look like is important and completely necessary. It is not optional to have headshots. But for your reel, that can be simple as well. You can just take your phone, prop it up with something, and then film yourself doing a monologue, both a comedic and a dramatic monologue, because casting wants to know what you look like when you act and how you act, right? They want to see your skills and whether or not you are fit for the part, for the role. Find a role that fits you, right? If I'm finding a monologue, I will not pick up Spider-Man's monologue. I won't pick up Tom Holland's Spider-Man's monologue. I'll pick up Ned's monologue because that's a character that I realistically would portray. And probably what casting directors will be looking for when they see you. So that's that for like material and stuff. But that isn't always going to be enough. What you're going to need is training. Anyone can learn how to act. I fully believe that. You just need to have the right training. Find classes somewhere. Like I said, acting is a muscle that you need to work out. If you don't work it out, then you'll be rusty. You'll lose the acting muscles. I definitely feel like I have lost acting muscles from being out of practice for so long because I've just been doing commercial work for the past 2 years. And as profitable as it is, and as fun as it is fun, and it's simple. I work for a day and get a lot of money, which is great. But it's not what I'm passionate about. So find classes. And yes, there are some that are expensive out there, but normally there are budget options, ones that are for online and stuff. If you're in LA, there will be a modicum of resources and classes for you. If you're not in LA, you can definitely find online classes that originate here or do some research and find some stuff near you. It definitely is real and exists, and you just have to look a little harder to find something that fits your budget. But I also believe that with classes, you take them, yes, to hone your craft and to be ready when an opportunity comes along, so that you're not just lucky. You find, because lucky is, I think, when preparation meets opportunity. If you're prepared enough, if you take enough classes to take a role that you would not normally be ready for, that's good. That is when you are lucky. But also, these classes, like I said, give you connections, have you meet people. If you find a class that does an industry night, you could be represented by the end of your course. And that is awesome. You should take classes. In fact, I think it is necessary for you to take classes if you are trying to be an actor for real. Now, once you do all that, you take your classes, you put up your stuff on your websites, you get all that stuff, and you get represented. An important thing to note is to make sure you keep an eye on your contract. Don't get fooled by predatory companies or predatory agencies. There's a long list somewhere. I don't know what the website is, but there is a list of all the agencies in Los Angeles, or I think in Los Angeles that exist. Those are all credible. Just make sure you're not. Just keep an eye on the contract, read it, make sure you know what you're signing. But yeah, once you're there, then you're kind of set. Then you just have to do the work. And before I finish up, we'll make a nice list, a checklist for you, so that you have a nice thing to take home, and like the check boxes to tick off. So first, just plan to make stuff by yourself. Work on scenes. I used to like memorizing monologues and recording them for myself to give myself notes in my garage. That's what I used to do. I used to record myself doing stuff just to see how well I could do it. Do stuff like that. Start simple. Make connections with those who are close to you at the local community college. If there are film festivals nearby, if there's a film club in your area, make those connections. After that, set up your acting websites. Actors Access, Casting Networks, Casting Frontier. Set those 3 up. Get your headshots, which is just a comedic and dramatic headshot of yourself on a neutral background, and your reel, which should be a comedic and dramatic monologue of some sort that matches your type. After that, go ahead, start taking classes. Try and get out there and meet new people who are in the industry already. Make your connections. And then after that, hopefully you can find an agency and a management company that'll represent you. You can find ways to reach out to them. Normally, do your research, find a agency and management company that suits you. There's a list somewhere. If I find it, it'll be in the link below. If it's not, I'm sorry. But there's a list of management companies. Go ahead, look through it, find an agency that suits you, look into it, see whether or not they take self-submissions, and if they don't bother agencies or management companies. Do not harass them with phone calls and mail, because then you might get blacklisted, and that's just bad. Then you don't have a career after that. Find an agency or management company, hopefully get signed, and then continue with the work. Make sure you work out your acting muscles. There's your comprehensive list. And before I go, I'll leave you with one small bit of advice. And that's to take care of yourself. Truly take care of yourself. This world and this industry is a grind, and it can suck. So the last thing you want to do is isolate yourself from those close to you and those supporting you to pursue the goal, to pursue the dream. The dream will always be here. You taking a week for yourself, taking a night to go get dinner with your family, to go, have fun, to take a breath. Taking those nights off is not a bad thing and does not mean that you start failing as an actor. I go out all the time. I go out with my family. I do events, go to events. I do stuff. And I take care of myself, because if I don't, because while I was taking that 2-year class, I really didn't. I was doing this class, going home, sleeping, going to rehearsal, going home, sleeping, taking the days off to think of things that I need to bring to class. and then going to class. It became my life, and it was unhealthy, and it made me very, very resentful of the craft for a bit because I wasn't taking care of myself. So don't make that mistake. The grind is good. It is good to grind, and it is good to be passionate about the work that you're doing. But don't make it your whole life. Keep room, make space in your life for things for you, for your friends, for your family, for your hobbies, for doing nothing on a day or two. Just sitting down in your room and reading a book. Take care of yourself. Because if you don't, then you won't last long in any industry. I know you can be passionate. It's easy to be passionate about this line of work. And it's good to be passionate. Just don't let it take over your life. All right? With all that corny, sappy stuff out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Capono. I hope you enjoyed this video. The title was not clickbait, okay? The first half hour just happened to be about me and my story and how I got here, okay? Don't blame me. If you have any questions in the comments, please leave them. Please leave them in the comments. I will try to answer as many as I can if I can answer them. If I can't answer it, I will probably not respond to it. But we will see. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.